On the day of my funeral, my ex-wife stood by my gravestone in her wedding dress, whispering that she'd marry me again if there were a next life. A week before I died, my wife, Emmadzik's first love, when returned to the country. That night, she didn't come home. The next day, I received her call. I've prepared the divorce papers. Come home and sign them. I coughed lightly before replying. I'm been in the hospital. Her voice was cold, sharp. Not right where you are. Even if you are on your deathbed, you need to come back and sign them calmly. I responded. Nampu arrived. She didn't know I truly was dying. On the day of my funeral, my wife was busy marrying Yankoa. Later, she wore a pure white wedding dress and leaned against my tombstone, tears streaming down her face as she murmured, Adspert, if there's a next life, I will still marry you. That day was her wedding day. It was also my funeral. The doctor wanted me to stay in the hospital for observation. I refused. I knew my body better than they did. My life was counting down, and there was no reset button. I didn't want to spend my remaining days in a hospital bed. When I returned home, Sophia was sitting on the sofa. Her gaze was cold and indifferent. Weren't you in the hospital? You look like you're in pretty good shape to me, she said. Summoning the last bit of strength, I walked to sit across from her. My voice was hoarse as I spoke. Where are the divorce papers? Sophia frowned, her tone growing colder. Where have you been loitering around? You look half dead. I ignored her question and asked again for the divorce papers. I could feel my body failing and I didn't want to collapse in front of her. I didn't want her to see me at my weakest. Fine. Pretend all you want. Do you think acting pathetic will make me take you back? She snapped. With a scornful grunt, she slapped the papers onto the table. Sign it. I didn't even glance at the divorce papers. Instead, I looked directly at Sophia. This is my final gift to you, I said. I picked up the pen and carefully signed my name the moment I put the pen down. It felt like all my energy had drained away. I slumped weakly onto the table. Sophia froze for a moment, then sneered, stop pretending. Do you think playing the victim will make me change my mind? If you hadn't forced my parents with your family's influence, I would married Ethan years ago and had a happy life, she said. But that's what you owed me? I forced a faint smile. So you've always blamed me. If I die, will you forgive me? I will think about it after you are dead. Sophia scooped up the papers and turned to leave without a backward glance. I watched her walk away, my chest tightening sharply. Darkness closed in around me. When I woke up, I was already in the hospital. Lily was sitting by my bedside. She was Sophia's closest friend, my friend too, and the one who had introduced me to Sophia. It was thanks to her that we met, but we hadn't turned out the way she'd hoped, a couple walking hand in hand through life. When she saw me wake up, Lily rushed to ask, Amastor, how are you feeling? Her eyes were filled with concern. Warmth flickered in my chest and I smiled faintly. Ventura, just a little tired lately. Her eyes instantly reddened. How long are you planning to keep lying to me? The doctor already told me everything. I fell silent. Lily pressed on. And does Sophia know? I shook my head. Why won't you tell her? She deserves to know. I will tell her right now. Lily pulled out her phone. I stopped her. There is no need. If this had been any day before yesterday, I might not have stopped Lily, but after everything that happened yesterday, every word Sophia said, I couldn't. I was terrified that if she knew I was dying, she would stand before me and spit venomously. Mouth, why couldn't you have died sooner? You destroyed the happiness Ethan and I could have had. If she said that, I would crumble. Why won't you tell her? Does she still misunderstand what happened back then? Let me explain it to her. Once again, I stopped Lily and waved her off. It not necessary. Let the truth of what happened back then stay buried with me. Sophia believed that it was I who pressured her parents to stop her from going abroad to find Ethan and forced her to stay and marry me. But the truth was, it was her parents who disapproved of her relationship with Ethan. They came to me and begged me to help them stage a charade.